What is up, NFC North fans? It is time for the NFC North Roundtable. We got the crew back together. Bass newly married. We got Trump in the background. We got One Bar and Dose. Lots to talk about. A trade deadline yesterday. We also had last week's games that we got to go over. This week's games previews. We had a shocker within the division. The Minnesota Vikings beating the Detroit Lions. So much of a shocker that even the own team representative or One Bar rather did not pick the Vikings to win. That's okay. You got to have a little bit of faith. Fellas, good to see you. Bass, round of applause for Bass, man. He got married this last week. That's why he wasn't here. He wasn't ducking out. Listen, he wasn't ducking out on the Steeler game. This is the week you probably should have sat out with the Panthers game, though. I'll let you know.
Oh, yeah. It's like Clayton got to come in here with his chest high after what happened with the Packers Steelers. And shout out Clayton. Awesome guy. I know he filled in greatly. And then, of course, I come back on the show after this Panthers crap game. Oh, man, it's just horrible. It's horrible, but I'm ready to talk about it.
Complete miscalculation by you, but good effort. A for effort for sure. All right. Well, listen, there wasn't a lot of movement at the trade deadline when it came to the NFC North, but there was one trade made by a team in this division. That was the Bears trading for Joe Tryon Shoyinka. After losing arguably your best pass rusher, your big time get this offseason. So listen, Nick, you gotta talk to me, brother. What do you think of this trade at the trade deadline?
I'm a little insulted that you called him our best pass rusher.
I said arguably. I said arguably.
Montez Sweat and Austin Booker are dogs. But yeah, no.
Okay, all right.
Bears had to make a move, and they didn't give up pretty much anything for him. They swapped a 6th for a 7th and got Joe out of it. You know, former 32nd overall pick by the Bucks. Was pretty solid in college at Washington. His last year in college, which he only played 2 years, had 12.5 sacks. But during his time in Tampa Bay, for the first couple of years, he actually looked decent. He had 13 total sacks. He had over 30 quarterback hits, and then he just stopped getting playing time because he was in the last year of his rookie contract. Goes to Cleveland, only plays in 40 snaps, and he had a 29.2% pass rush win rate, along with 3 quarterback hits and a sack. So I'm going to take that, absolutely. And we only gave up a 6, got a 7th back. So we still have the same amount of draft capital, and we got a depth piece because Austin Booker is the future at edge for this team. Obviously, he had a huge day in his opening game against the Bengals, 1 sack, 1 forced fumble, 1 pass deflection, 2 tackles for loss. Absolutely loved it. And Montez Sweat's heating up with 3 sacks in his last 3 games. So it was a good move. Good rest of the season rental. Bears don't have to pay more than $1 million for him. And we still have a lot of draft capital. So I overall like the move. We're in win now mode, to say the least. So the Bears didn't have to go out and spend the mortgage in the bank. I like the move that they made overall, and I'm super stoked to see that he's going to be playing this Sunday.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you guys needed to make a move for sure. You guys made one. Like you said, it didn't cost a lot. Speaking of moves, though, we got a guy who's making his name heard around the division, also amongst the whole league, it seems like at this point. Asante Samuel Jr. is scheduled for a visit with your Bears, Nick. Talk to me about this. Would you like Asante Samuel Jr. to come to your team? And if not, are you afraid that he might end up in division?
100% afraid he's going to end up in division because he's meeting with Green Bay tomorrow, Minnesota Friday, or the other way around. I'm not sure which one, but solid defensive back, 37 pass deflections in 50 games, 6 interceptions. I mean, he is a good overall player, arguably the best free agent out there right now. Huge to have him back, still young at 26 years old. I would love for him to come to Chicago, but he met with the Panthers today. And again, he's meeting with the other 2 in the division that are looking for cornerback help as well. And if they let him get out of the door, the Bears will be super lucky about it. But I think that Green Bay and Minnesota is going to do whatever they can, whoever can get it done, to make sure that he doesn't leave without a contract. So I'm a little nervous about that, but I would love to see him in a Bears uniform.
Yeah, he's got a ton of visits scheduled. He's visiting with the Steelers, my 49ers. So we'll see if he actually makes it to all those visits. I agree. I think if Green Bay's smart or Minnesota's smart, you just don't let him out of the building. You make him an offer he can't refuse, and go out and get it. So speaking of the Green Bay Packers, no trade made by them. Also in on Asante Samuel. I'll ask your opinion on that, Bass. But I also want your opinion on the trade deadline. listen, you guys made the biggest splash you could absolutely make this offseason. So it's not like you needed to make a major trade at the deadline, but you lost your tight end in Kraft for the year. That was a super unfortunate injury. And then, trade deadline comes and goes, no major moves made. What were you hoping for at the trade deadline? Were you surprised by this? And then also talk to me about Asante Samuel Jr.
I wasn't surprised by them not making a move because just like you said, they made an characteristic move or characteristic move, excuse me, with trading for Micah Parsons. So, not having the draft capital that they normally would, I wasn't expecting them to go make a huge splash, but there were trades that I think could have been made. Some names that got thrown out there: David Njoku, Michael Mayer at tight end. I think the Packers are just comfortable with who they have, or they made calls on these players and simply it was going to cost too much. I think the Browns were vocal about not trading away Njoku. I think Michael Mayer would have been a really fun add to this tight end room. But then you have 3 tight ends on rookie deals in a couple of years that you have to figure out and whatnot. I think Chiggy Okonkwo is a guy they should have called about for Tennessee. Outside of that, maybe a couple calls for cornerbacks. There were some rumors with Cam Taylor-Britt, Alante Taylor, and DJ Turner, guys they made calls on, which again, calls are just that. It doesn't mean they're in negotiations with said player, but I'm not too shocked that they didn't make a move because Asante Samuel is now visiting with the Green Bay Packers tomorrow, like you said. And when you take a look at those visits, and again, I know the Bears have a lot of injuries. I feel like the Vikings and Bears are simply just trying to get Green Bay to overpay here by scheduling a visit with Asante. I feel like the Packers are going to try to make him an offer that he can't refuse because let's face it, right now, our cornerback room, when healthy, is in shambles. And then we just learned that Nate Hobbs has an MCL injury. I mean, honestly, addition by subtraction at this point because he's just played that poorly. But their depth is very lacking. Like their corners 3 and 4 have like 0 defensive snaps in their career. So I think they need to bring in help. And I think Asante Samuel Jr., although he has his issues, obviously with that neck injury, and then also a very bad missed tackle issue over his career, I still think he would be a good addition to this defensive backfield that I think they desperately need right now. So I think that's why they didn't go and make a trade for cornerback. And at tight end, it's such a shame to see Tucker Kraft go down. I don't think anyone in the league wanted to see that happen. Real shame, because now it's like the offense flowed through Tucker. And now we're wondering, okay, how are they going to orchestrate this offense? Who's going to be a player that steps up? And I know a lot of people point at Luke Musgrave because he was drafted in the same year as Tucker Kraft, and his rookie season actually was the starter. It's just they're 2 different style of tight ends. And the Packers have John Fitzpatrick as well. They elevated Josh Wiley, former Titan, to the active roster yesterday as well. But nothing's going to replace Tucker. Even if they made a trade for a Mayer, Okonkwo, or Njoku, still wouldn't have replaced Tucker. But I'm not shocked at all that the Packers didn't make a trade on trade deadline days with what they did with Micah Parsons.
Well, I feel like you guys might have an advantage when it comes to getting Asante Samuel Jr. I mean, I'm looking at all the teams he's visiting, and I feel like the Packers are the one place that he can say, hey, not only are we competitive, but you're going to start here most likely. Yeah. You're not going to start for the 49ers. Probably not even the Bears. I mean, maybe due to some of their injuries, but they're getting guys back. Same with the Vikings. Who is it? Panthers, maybe, I guess. Steelers, probably not. So I don't know. I mean, I feel like that could be an advantage that you guys have is, hey, you're going to come to a competitive team. You're going to start. We're going to pay you some decent money. And you'll get to showcase your talent and hit free agency next year. So maybe that might be the inside track for you guys. We'll see where he ultimately ends up. Another team that he's visiting is One Bar's Vikings. And the Vikings also made no moves. I had heard that the Vikings were shopping potentially Grenard and Van Ginkel. But then they ended up winning last week. We'll talk about that later. And so I don't know if that changed their plans or what's going on there. But One Bar, talk to me. I mean, what were your thoughts about the trade deadline? Did you want the Vikings to be buyers, sellers? Is this kind of what you expected? Just talk to me overall about what you, I guess, didn't see at the trade deadline.
Yeah, I mean, once the Vikings beat the Lions, the whole sellers thing, I think, went completely out the window. And really, I mean, there was rumors they were going to be buyers even before that game. And really, the positions they were looking at was the cornerback position, was the offensive line. And really, I mean, seeing some of these other trades go down, I just think the price tags were probably a little too high. I mean, some of these trades were there's a lot of draft capital getting chucked around for some very good players, but I think when it comes to the fact the Vikings didn't make any moves, Kwesi, this is the first year he hasn't made a move. The dude has made so many trades since he's been here. The only thing is just the amount they wanted in return had to have been too high. I mean, Baz, you kind of rattled off all the cornerbacks. I mean, Reek Woolen was in there as well. We need cornerback help. And like I said, the price tag was probably just too high. When you go to Asante Samuel, yeah, I mean, I really think as far as the team he's visiting, I think it does come down to the Packers or Vikings. And maybe it's just me drinking some Vikings Kool-Aid here, but like I think Asante Samuel is going to be looking for that opportunity to look good enough to just whet that taste for this offseason, because he's 26 years old. He wants to show that he can still play and get that big old fat contract next year. So he's the big, sexy, shiny name out there. When you look at him coming here, what he's got going is, he's not going to be thrusted in. Hey, by the way, you're cornerback one. Good luck. You haven't played in a year and a half or whatever it is. He gets to come here for the Vikings and play under Brian Flores with finally a healthy defense and be that cornerback 3 and maybe push Isaiah Rodgers for some playing time. So I think it's
watch your mouth. This is a kid's show.
I got excited, man. That's what happens when I get excited. I think there's definitely a route for him to be here. It's gonna be interesting to see how much he gets paid, and it's kind of funny, like the little tour he's taken. I mean, there's a lot of teams. He's taking his time. I think his visit's even going to like early next week. It's like, come on, man, sign with the team. Let's go.
Yeah, man. I guess you guys do have something to offer. I'm curious to see where he ends up. I would love for him to be on the 49ers as well. I don't think we have a starting spot for him. So I have a feeling he's going to end up somewhere else. This division, though, is getting real interesting, real tight week by week. Dose. All right. Last team, again, no trade made. Asante Samuel is not visiting the Detroit Lions, oddly enough. So you guys, I really think you were in the game for a big time edge pass rusher. Just ultimately didn't happen. Maybe it was Trey Hendrickson. It was just too steep of a price the Bengals were asking for. But ultimately, no moves by the Lions as well. Talk to me about the trade deadline. Dose, were you hoping for something? What were your expectations versus what ended up being reality?
Yeah, no, I think my mindset changed a little bit really after the Vikings game. I mean, coming into that, like, we needed our guards to play better coming into that game. But then Mahogany gets hurt in that game. So immediately my mindset shifts. I think last time we were on here, I didn't think we were going to do anything. I didn't think they'd make something major happen, but I know there was talk about edge. And I think once the prices started kind of coming in, like when Jalen Phillips, I thought went for a 3rd round pick. I'm not saying that's not right, but I'm saying I think that price point, especially when they followed it up with the Titans edge rusher. Now he slipped my mind. He went for like the 4th and the 5th. Draymond Jones. Yeah. When I think some of those prices came in, personally for me, I thought like, okay, this just feels too high. Like I thought the trainer thing was fun because I thought like, okay, maybe there's like a reasonable path, but there wasn't. I think that way I was going to take a 1st round pick, which is why it didn't get done. So at that point, after the Vikings game, I was like, if we're going to do anything, I'd prioritize an offensive lineman. I mean, I go see if I could find a guard. It's one of the tougher spots it feels like to trade for at that time. But there was a couple of guys that I thought were interesting. I thought maybe we'd make a call to just see if Tennessee would be like, hey, we'll give you Kevin Zeitler back, just to make the call. But I can understand why that wouldn't work out. But at that point, that was really the only thing. I didn't love the idea. And I didn't love the idea of going after, like you said, Trey Hendrickson. That's obviously he's going to come in and start. Like he's that dude. But a lot of these other names I didn't think made sense because it was kind of like, well, we kind of have that. Like I don't want a guy that's in there, Al-Qadim Muhammad. Why would I make the trade at that point? I have that. I got Mekhi Wingo being a healthy scratch. It's like I got dudes. If you're going to do it, you got to make the big splash. So once I think those prices started coming in from my perspective, I was like, okay, that's a lot. That's probably not going to go down. And then the offensive line felt like the only reasonable thing. But hey, we signed like 3 practice squad offensive linemen. If you want to talk about that, we can dive into that. So that's up to you. But outside of that, man, just kind of as expected.
All right. Sounds good. Well, I mean, probably a bit of a surprise loss, but it is in division. Crazy things certainly happen. The NFC, though, is so wide open. I feel like every week, we think there's a new team atop the NFC or even the NFL. That team ends up losing. So I think we're in for a treat come playoff time, especially the way this season's about to shape out towards the end is going to be a lot of fun as well. Well, before we get to the Week 9 recap in full, we have a lot to talk about from a sponsor aspect. So we'll get to Sleeper, talk about them. I'm going to make the picks this week just so that we can get through it really quick, but make sure to play Sleeper, get your 100% deposit match of up to $100 using promo code RTS. And if you are on the fence about playing Sleeper, then use promo code RTS, get your free $20. You don't even have to make a deposit. You'll get a free $20 play. Check them out. Now is the time. You can play daily fantasy, weekly fantasy, yearly fantasy, and you can do exactly what we're doing here, which is some more or less have a little bit of skin in the game. So the picks this week, I'm taking my freebie. I got Bo Nix on a half a pass yard. Sleeper always gives us a freebie. That's this week. I'm going Brock Bowers on the anytime TD. I feel good about that one. J.K. Dobbins, I'm teasing all the way down from 70 rush yards to 40 rush yards. I don't know about 70 guys, but 40 I feel good about. And then Daniel Carlson, I'm going more on the 1.5 field goals. I'm going to hit that. I'm going to do $10 on that one. And that's going to give me $71 on the line. Check them out. Link pinned to the top of the description. Promo code RTS to get your deposit match and free $20 play. All right, we have some games to go over, fellas. Let's start with it. Vikings beat the Lions 27-24. First, we're going to get the guys who were not involved in this game. Actually, you know what? We'll just let you guys individually recap it. One bar, we're going to start with you. You're the winner. So give me your thoughts on this game, brother.
Man, it was beautiful. I've never slept so good. I've never slept so good all week. It was a pleasant surprise. Because you're right, Jesse, you came in and said, I didn't pick the Vikings, and it's very rare I don't pick the Vikings, but I didn't. And there was a lot of Vikings fans that didn't. And I think the ones that did deep down knew that this would be a very, very tough task. Look, the Vikings coming into this thing. I mean, if you watched the show last week, I was not overly high on the Minnesota Vikings. That was one of their worst games, that Chargers game. And to come back and go to Detroit and get that dub was absolutely insane. Like, nobody saw this coming. And the way they did it, it was fantastic. They came out. I mean, usually we're used to the Lions, Dan Campbell, a little bully ball, playing tough, playing hard. That's what the Vikings did. It was absolutely fantastic. They came out, and Brian Flores, his scheme. I mean, I think this was one of Brian Flores' best games that he's coached on the defensive side of the ball for the Vikings. We were finally healthy on the defensive side of the ball. Van Ginkel was back, which was huge. But what he did with those middle linebackers, Eric Wilson, Blake Cashman, Ivan Pace, he had those three out there at the same time, and he was bringing the damn house all game. He was making Jared Goff uncomfortable. He was stuffing He was stuffing Gibbs. They couldn't get the running game going. I mean, 65 yards is absolutely insane to me. To hold them guys to 65 yards, make Jared Goff uncomfortable in the pocket. He was throwing dirt balls. I think he was pressured 20 times, sacked 5 times. He did everything that needed to be done to get a win. I think the Vikings finally realized, like, wow, this season is about to go off the rails. And they just put it all together. They really did. I think offensively, defensively, special teams, they were the better team out there. Offensively, I mean, J.J. McCarthy, his 2 wins this year are in Chicago and in Detroit. And while J.J. McCarthy didn't go out there and light up the stat sheet or just like go out there and win this game on his own, it's pretty damn tough to be a Vikings fan right now and not be excited about this guy. Like, I think he might be insane. I think he's crazy. It's fantastic. We need a little crazy in our quarterback. Watching the post game, watching him doing his weird facial expressions. I love everything about it, man. He is a baller. He's definitely got a ways to go. It's not like he played a perfect game by any means, but making plays with his legs, throwing the ball away, not taking crazy sacks. I mean, he got put on the ground, but like, I think Carson Wentz damn near gets sacked 8 times that game if he plays. It was nice to see a quarterback out there just playing with some fire. And that's what he did. And it was fantastic. You look at the run game. Aaron Jones had a beautiful game until he got hurt. Sounds like he may or may not be playing this week. Hopefully he is, because he was a game changer. And really that offensive line finally being healthy, aside from the center, was a huge, huge deal for McCarthy to do his thing. And the theme of this game was they were finally healthy. It was great to see them finally put out a team that is the Minnesota Vikings. I'm not going to get overly crazy and say, hey, we're back. Watch out NFC North. They got a long way to go. But this win just helps turn around a season that was looking like it was going to completely go in the crapper. And the moral of the story is, the Vikings can really beat anybody week in and week out. And JJ McCarthy is getting everybody excited. They at some point, gradually they're going to take the training wheels off a little bit and maybe put it more in his hands. And I think that might actually happen with the Baltimore game this week. But it was, you couldn't have asked for a better game. It was so great to see them play so damn physical up front and be physical against the Detroit Lions team that's damn good. And I'll say this real quick, is it was funny because even on our show, we picked the Lions to win by about 4 points. And we got killed for it. Lions fans were coming for us. You guys are idiots. We're gonna kill you guys. 4 points. We're gonna beat you by way more than 4. So it felt good. It felt really good. Dion, I love you, man, but it felt really nice. And the rest of the North, man, you guys should be thanking us, man. The Lions, they'd be top of the North, so we're in last place. So you're welcome. You're welcome.
Don't saw what I saw there. Hey, one bar. I'm glad that you brought up the stats for JJ McCarthy. I was shocked looking at the stats afterwards because I watched the game. I had it on Quad Box, and every time I looked over, he was making a big time play in a big time moment. This is why you cannot box score scout, by the way. This is why you have to watch games, because if you watch that game versus looking at the stats, we're talking about two completely different games. He came through in every clutch moment, it seemed like, throughout the course of that game. Was a big reason why they won. He played with a lot of swag, a lot of confidence. I think that was by far his best game from beginning to end that I've seen this year. First game back against the Detroit Lions. That's got to give you guys a lot of confidence going forward. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the swag will get you only too far. You got to back it up with the talent as well. But I mean, usually to me, it's always backwards. Usually the swag comes after the fact. So yeah, no, it was big time. That 3rd and 1. I mean, Dose, you know the play I'm talking about at the end to seal that thing, to throw that thing to Jalen Naylor. Big time throw. I mean, you see quarterbacks 22 years old. You're not going to see that throw very often. And he did it, and it was a perfect pass. And really, even before, I think it was the first quarter, he had some passes. Jordan Addison missed that touchdown pass earlier right out of his hands in the end zone. That would have been a big play. So there were plays out there that were missed. And the other part about this is the Vikings, it's not like they played a perfect game by any means. Like, they didn't. There was drop balls. There was penalties. There was some issues there. So I'm not going to get overly confident and say, oh, man, we should have beat the Lions by 20. But they could have really beaten the Lions by a little bit more. Like, they're definitely the better team in Detroit.
Well, Dose, talk to me from the perspective of the team that lost. I know that we were all a little bit shocked by the result. I think everybody on the panel picked Detroit to win, and it just didn't happen. In division, things can always get a little bit squirrely, but losing this one certainly hurts. Talk to me about what you saw from your Detroit Lions on Sunday.
Well, I'll start. I think one bar is right. I mean, I walked thinking back on this game, like the immediate, 2 hours afterwards, watching, the 4 o'clock games. It's weird being on 1 o'clock, but watching those games, thinking to myself, like, the fact that we were in this game was crazy. The fact that we thought we had a shot at the end was nuts. I mean, if we force an incomplete pass there, you believe you get a shot there, but it's crazy that we were even in a position to do that because we played so poorly. And for Minnesota's side, like, they made mistakes. I mean, the amount of muff snaps that they had was nuts. It just felt like they were just like, all right, we got 5 yards. Now I'll just go backwards too because we messed up a snap. It was like little things like that, and it gave us some life in this game. And one bar's right. They outplayed us completely in this one. There's a whole bunch of things here, but I'll say first off, and this is going to be the key for us going forward, it's going to be we have to find the run game again. I mean, that's who we are at the core. And most teams, I think, start with this. I think it's why this game looked like it did. I mean, I understand a lot of the yards were on a screen pass that counted as a run play for Minnesota, but they ran the ball better than I expected. And I think a huge part was their offensive line got back. It got right in this one. Our interior, I was very disappointed. I thought we'd be much more dominant against their interior in this game. We had our flashes, but I thought we'd be better than that. So it's not like Minnesota went crazy rushing the football, but they won in that category. And it's been a few weeks now that Detroit has looked shaky running the football consistently. I mean, we've had explosives. Gibbs has given us one. And usually, against Minnesota, sometimes that's what it is. You get a couple negatives, but all of a sudden Gibbs breaks one. And we didn't have a single big play in the run game. The one that was kind of big, Montgomery fumbles on a 3rd down and 12. It's like, he's actually going to get that. And then he fumbles. So we never had the explosives to offset as bad as it was. It's going to be a challenge. Lions got to figure it out. And at this point, Mahogany's down. I hate it for him, our left guard. But now it's, okay, who's next? We didn't make a trade. So potentially, KO'd, or they'll go to Tristan Colon, who I'm hoping gets some looks there. But that's going to be, I think, their challenge right now is Tate settling in. I thought it was fine from him. But what they need right now is just less of the ugly. They got so much ugly up front. It's like, dude, we don't need like dominant blocks, bro. We got a lot of ugly happening. And I'll give credit, like Minnesota, where I think Minnesota challenges, and I think One Bar's right. Their plan was fantastic. I loved how aggressive they were, and I expected to look the exact same way we see it next time. And I thought against Philly, sometimes they pulled it back, and it was like, dude, this looks bad. They got to get after teams. They did. I think for the Lions going forward, it's going to be a challenge because you got a Minnesota team who's very aggressive up front. We know they'll blitz to stop the run. They're shooting backers and gaps. And for the Lions, they had an offensive line that, it was just looked like they didn't know how to pick anything up. It was very messy. And I think, some of the youth showed up there. So that's the biggest part of all this, is the thing that needs to continue to improve. If it does, they'll be fine, but that's their biggest thing. I was pleased. There was a positive. I was pleased with our secondary. McCarthy's a dog. I hate that he's in this division. I hate it, man. But McCarthy's big time, and he made big time throws. He had some ugly ones out there too, but the battle was good enough. The battle was fine. I thought we did more than what I would have hoped in the secondary in this game, to be honest. This is still the Vikings with every weapon is seemingly available in this game. With their offensive line getting right, it was like, okay, how are we going to match up? I thought we matched up pretty darn good for this one. So overall, I thought we did enough in that category. It's just offensively, this was one of the worst performances we've had in a while. This is what I'll leave it on. My hope and my belief is that this is going to be the John Morton game, what Calvin Shepard was against Kansas City. Since Kansas City, I didn't like how unaggressive we were in that game. I thought we played soft because we were banged up. Now, the concern is Lions weren't banged up in this game offensively that much, but I thought we played soft in that game. And since that game, we've played more aggressive. We were aggressive against Minnesota. It's led to a lot better results. This will be the time where we just need to see that be that John Morton game. And I'm okay with being patient, right? It's his first time here as an OC. So I'm okay with being patient. I think it's a big challenge next week. And I know Dan Quinn's going to be looking at that and saying, okay, hey, they're blitzing the heck out of that middle linebacker. We're going to make that running back pick it up over and over. Lions better have a plan for it. We're going to do the exact same thing with Frankie Louvu. So I'm fired up for it, but it was ugly. But I will say, man, thank you, Carolina. You know what I mean? Thank you, Carolina. We still hanging on, baby. Anyways, I'll leave it there, man. It's a rough game. We're moving on.
Well, talk to me about that injury to Mahogany. I loved Mahogany, by the way, coming out of college. I thought that was a great pickup by you guys. But how is he done for the year?
So the thought is he's not done for the year, but they said it's a broken bone. I don't know exactly what's broke, but they're saying the end of the season, maybe if he comes back. The optimism is that Miles Frazier is beginning his clock today, who they drafted this year out of LSU. That's a guy that I love, me, Miles Frazier. And I think it's on the table. I thought it was on the table coming in the year. I thought he was going to be healthy. I didn't know he was going to miss half the season. I don't know what that was, but that he would just take somebody's spot. Like he was going to jump somebody's spot this year. And now he has a door that's open to do that. So he hasn't practiced really at all. He didn't practice in training camp, but that door is open. And for Mahogany, yeah, it stinks. It stinks right now for Mahogany. So seems like we may not see him much more going forward.
All right. Well, we'll see how it plays out. Vikings get a big win. Let's talk about Knicks Bears. Speaking of big win, gosh, what a fun game this was. An absolute shootout. It's crazy, Nick. I had to go live for the post game of the 49ers game, and it was towards the tail end, and it was like, I forget what the score was at that point, but the Bears had the lead. Then all of a sudden we look up and Cincinnati scores late, and everybody in my chat's like, oh, Cincinnati just beat the Bears. Like, that's great for us because we're looking at that 7th seed and we're going, all right, Bears, Panthers, we're competing against these guys. Panthers already beat the Packers. That wasn't ideal, but the Bears are going to lose. And I'm like, a couple minutes later, I look at the score and go, guys, the Bears won. Everybody's like, what do you mean the Bears won? It was absolutely crazy. Phenomenal game. And you guys get it done 47-42. Talk to me about what you saw from your Chicago Bears. Caleb Williams, man, on fire.
First player in NFL history with 250 plus passing yards, 50 plus rushing, and 20 receiving. And he had 3 passing touchdowns and a receiving. So guy did it all. And Kyle Monangai and Colson Loveland are rookies who Colson Loveland won NFC Player of the Week. I mean, those guys, all 3 of them cooked. Fantastic work by this Bears team from that perspective. From a defensive perspective and also a special teams perspective, yikes. Cairo Santos missing 2 field goals. That's a big conversation right now. Jake Moody might be taking over potentially. We don't know for sure yet.
Oh, gosh.
Oh, God. But, he's 8 for 9 for us. He has 3 extra points all made. Cairo Santos, 11 for 14 this year. All his extra points made as well. But he couldn't even tackle Charlie Jones. Shout out to him. Deerfield native. We went to high school together. Really nice guy. Kind of sucked watching him return it against the Bears. But just an absolute shootout. High energy the entire time. A lot of exciting stuff from the Bears. Again, Manungai, 198 yards on the ground, or in total, 176 on the ground, 22 receiving. Loveland, game winner, first 2 receiving touchdowns of his career in one game. Like you said, Caleb pretty on fire. Defensive line looked okay against Joe Flacco. I mean, Austin Booker came back. Montez Sweat was hot. But, man, they were getting up way too much to T. Higgins and Jamar Chase. Those guys ripped us apart single-handedly. Joe Flacco had a career high in passing yards against us. And obviously not ideal. And then the major collapse on special teams. Again, going back to Santos, but also Daniel Hardy not even turning towards the ball to receive it. And it hits off his foot. Cincinnati gets it back after they scored a touchdown. That allows them to go up by 1 point at the very end. And shout out to the Bears, another heart attack win. My heart rate was at 152 sitting. I looked down. I'm like, oh my God. It's like, are you working out right now? I'm like, no, I'm screaming my face off, hoping that the Bears win this game. So way too intense, but a win is a win. And like Ben Johnson said, not apologizing for a win in this league. 5-3, 5 out of the last 6. The Bears have now won big this year. They've won ugly this year. They've won in cardiac fashion this year, and they flat out just won this year. So that's a big thing for me, is that this team is learning to win in any way, shape, or form. They have the confidence behind each other. If we can just get rid of this injury bug, my confidence for the Bears continues to go up. And I said at the beginning of the year, I thought this was going to be a much better year for the Bears. And so far, we've already tied our win total. So hopefully we keep this up. And I'm just happy we won that game, man, because if we would have lost, I don't think I would have logged on today, to be honest with you.
Well, talk to me a little bit about Loveland, offensive player of the week in the NFC. Great game from him. I know as Bears fans, like, Warren was there. You guys took Loveland before him. I'm sure that's a highly debated thing week in and week out, because Warren just balls every single week. I was actually under the belief a lot of 49er fans wanted Warren, and I was like, I think Loveland might be better, though. I don't know that I would go Warren. And then obviously the Bears agree here. You got a great offensive mind. He's high on Loveland. You go Loveland ahead of Warren. And this week it looked really, really good. So talk to me a little bit about him.
No, I mean, and Ian Rappaport talked about it, after the Bears took Colston Loveland at number 10, the calls for trading up completely went silent. So a lot of teams wanted him at number 10 to try to trade up and get him. He plays like a wide receiver. He's built like a tight end. He blocks like a tight end. I mean, he's an all-around player, and he's only missed 1 game so far this year. I know we drafted him injured, but he's been an absolute dog the last couple of weeks, and we got to see it this past week. And Tyler Warren does not have a 100-yard receiving game this year. He doesn't have 2 receiving touchdowns in a game this year. Colston Loveland has both of those, and he's never won AFC Offensive Player of the Week. Colston Loveland's already done that. So people that were like, oh, he's a bust and he's not doing whatever. We are literally a growing team. We're a super young offense. We had Cole Kmet, and also Colston Loveland being able to shake off 3 defenders while catching that ball and then running it past guys that are clearly faster than him. The guy's just got the dog in him. So I'm super happy that the Bears have him. Ben Johnson's super stoked about it too. We just had to be patient, and now we're finally starting to see it pay off. I just hope it doesn't slow down. You have to involve him in the game plan. Guy's been great so far, so super happy about the pick for sure.
All right, let's get to these Green Bay Packers, man. Probably the strangest team in the NFL. I just don't know what to make of them. Losing to the Browns, losing to the Panthers, and then looking great the rest of the season. I don't know. I don't know what to make of them. That's why Bass is here. He's got to make heads or tails of it. Speaking of tight ends, Kraft goes down for the season. That's a massive, massive loss. Might be the biggest loss of the day, bigger than losing to the Panthers themselves. But you did lose to the Panthers 13-16. Talk to me about what you saw from your Green Bay Packers, Bass.
Yeah, I don't know what to make of this team either. I feel like when the Browns game happened, you're like, all right, that's one off. Any given Sunday, you have a bad day. But when you look at this game, it's eerily similar. Like the opposing team's offense didn't move the ball too efficiently. Yeah, they controlled the clock, and that was great on the Panthers. It's a good game plan by them. Our offense was inept, and our kicking game, we had miscues. It's the same thing that happened in that Browns game and why we lost that game as well. And I don't even know where to start with this game. I mean, there's no way to sugarcoat it. It was nasty. We played like trash. There's inconsistency across the board. And I know a lot of people point at play calling. And most of the time, you know, I'm kind of like, hey, you know, we have to execute as well. And that's still a problem. But it felt like this game truly, that it really felt like play calling was holding us back. When I took a look back at the advanced analytics after this game, specifically passing, it's nearly 20% of Jordan Love's dropbacks were screenplays or throws behind the line of scrimmage. It's like, I understand Love makes mistakes, given it's only been 3 interceptions this year, but all 3 are pretty terrible, especially the one in this game. He should have had 2. I 100% see that. But on the other side, Love is still a good quarterback. He is a top of the league quarterback, and he can make any given throw on the field. Sure, he has some inconsistencies and he does make some mistakes, but I feel like it's so consistently like he's handcuffed. And Matt LaFleur is like, okay, I want to throw these screen passes, these orbit motions, these check downs here and there. And given some of it is, okay, a lot of teams are playing too high shell against us, and Jordan Love takes the check down, and that's considered a behind the line of scrimmage throw. So I understand that as well. And that's what a lot of teams are doing against this Packers offense. They're playing too high and say, hey, run it against us, but your offensive line is so inconsistent and they can't get run blocks. And Josh Jacobs is second worst in the league in terms of yards before contact. He's just making it work because he's Josh freaking Jacobs. So a lot of teams are playing that way against the Packers, and that's what the Browns did, and that's what the Panthers did. So, you know, Jordan Love overall, 26 of 37, 273, 7.4 average. But again, it just felt like there was something missing there. And to be fair, Tucker Kraft went down with injury. Tay Wicks was out. Matthew Golden went down with injury. And on that 1 4th and 8, his receivers were Malik Heath, Savion Williams, Romeo Dobbs, and John Fitzpatrick. So first off, I don't even understand that call there to go for it on 4th and 8. If they kicked the 3, that game would have been in overtime. And then who knows what happens. But man, there's a lot of issues on this offense. Just overall lack of consistency. I think a lot of it can be summed up to the interior offensive line. I think Elton Jenkins hasn't done a good job at center. We've had a lot of injuries. Aaron Banks yet again checks out with injury. He had a stinger early in this game. Sean Ryan comes in. He gets blown up on a play, and that actually is what and how Tucker Kraft got hurt. I know it's not his fault, but it just feels like every time there's something wrong with this offense, it's due to the interior offensive line. We have free rushers coming up the A gap. We have linebackers in the backfield almost every time when we're trying to run and establish the run. And to be fair, in this game, this was their best running game in terms of Josh Jacobs, 5.1 per carry, 17 carries, 87 yards, at least in terms of Josh Jacobs. So that was okay. But then on defense, man, I mean, first off, the Packers got to score more than 13 points. But on defense, you know, they did enough. Like when you take a look at Bryce Young, he didn't do anything that wowed you, and he didn't need to. He finished 11 of 20, 102 yards, an interception, and a 48.3 quarterback rating. What really hurt the Green Bay Packers was the Carolina Panthers' ability to run the football with Rico Dowdle, who's having just an awesome 2025. He actually leads the NFC as a whole in rushing yards, which is crazy. 25 carries, 130 yards, 5.2 average. And what was the third highest or third best run defense in the NFL before this game did not look like it. They ran all over us. They were getting push up front with backup offensive linemen. They had so many injuries and inconsistencies on that O-line, and it looked like one of the better units in the NFL. And that's got to get figured out for the Packers defense. And another thing is we barely got any pressures. I think we had 8 or 9 pressures on the day. Micah only had 1. We only had 1 sack, and it was by Xavier McKinney. You know, we got to get more pressure on Bryce Young with this banged up offensive line. But at the end of the day, the defense, you know, did enough that should be allow the Packers to win this game. It just overall came down to the offense. It came down to special teams. The Packers get the least amount of punt return yards in the NFL. They consistently miss kicks. They brought back in McManus while Haversick was 10 for 10 over 2 weeks. And McManus has missed kicks in both games he's returned. And when you look at the Packers, every single loss or tie, it can be chalked up to a missed kick. It can be chalked up to a special teams miscue. And that's the unfortunate part of the Packers' losses and tie. this season thus far. I hope a lot of this can get cleaned up, but the Packers are going to have to rotate into something else on offense because Tucker Kraft was their leading receiver, right? He was the best yards after catch tight end in the league. Now they're going to have to rotate into more, maybe 6 offensive linemen on the field at a time because Tucker Kraft was a willing blocker. Now we don't really have that. And at the end of the day, I think the Packers can. I think they have the talent on this offense. Watson returned. He's looked good. But man, it's just a terrible performance by them at home. And I saw an interesting stat. The last 11 out of 12, they've lost the last 11 out of 12 after daylight savings or clocks go back. So I don't know what's going on there. Maybe that has something to do with it. But they got to have a massive bounce back win, and they could against the Eagles. Like you were saying, it's a very confusing team. It's a very, very confusing team. It's the tale of two teams, and I think it just really comes down to which Green Bay Packers team we're going to get this coming week. But yeah, terrible game. I want to put this one in the rearview mirror and not look back at it.
Yeah, I mean, you certainly would like to have that win or that game back against the Panthers because the Eagles and Packers game very well could be the decider in the number 1 seed. And if you lost to the Eagles but beat the Panthers, there's still an outside shot there. Losing to the Eagles, I mean, it doesn't all but seal it. There's still a lot of games, but it does quite a bit as far as helping the Eagles get that number 1 seed. So this game's huge. There's a lot riding on this game. You guys got to figure out how to get Tucker Kraft or over not having Tucker Kraft very, very quickly here and figure some things out. So I think it's going to be a hell of a game. Of course, primetime NFC North, man, here we come. So funny boy Roddy says JJ McCarthy did what Sam Darnold couldn't do, and that's beat the Lions. I absolutely love that. Well, let's hear from one of our sponsors, RotoWire. Promo code RTS to get 15% off with RotoWire. If you play fantasy football in any sort of facet, I definitely recommend RotoWire. They're going to help you set your lineups, analyze trades, everything in between, but they're also going to help you with your props. So if you're playing Sleeper, for example, you can go to Daily Fantasy, you can go to Sleeper Picks, and they've got an AI algorithm that is going to help you make your picks week in and week out. And as they do that, it's basically going to give you a confidence meter. It's like, all right, well, we think this player is going to go over X amount of yards. The confidence meter on them doing so is X. Or we think, hey, this player is going to go under X amount of yards. The confidence meter on that is X. So they're going to help you make your bets week in and week out on top of being the best tandem fantasy app out there. So make sure you check out RotoWire, promo code RTS. And I got one more for you here. Swivel. Swivel's free. So it's all it is an add-on to your Google browser, your Chrome browser, and you can pull forth all of your NFC North content at your leisure. Every time you go into Google, Swivel's going to be right there for you. You can follow Bass, One Bar, Nick, Dose, and pull all their content forward, whether it's on TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, what have you. Also, every one of your favorite teams is loaded in there as well. You just got to give them a follow. So whether it's NFL, NBA, college football, what have you, you can see that mine is all 49ers related here. Any Instagram story related to the 49ers. I got some of the AFC South guys on here. I also have the NFC North guys on here. So any content that is made, it just basically pulls it forward for you, aggregates it in one spot right on your Google homepage so you never miss anything. All right, fellas, it is time to preview the Week 10 games. We got some really, really good ones on the slate here. So let's start with Purple on Purple Crime. Vikings versus Ravens, 1 p.m. Eastern. My son's a Ravens fan, One Bar, so curious to see who you're going to pick in this one. But we'll start with you, Dose. Tell me who you think is going to win the Vikings versus Ravens game, 1 p.m. Eastern on Sunday.
Yeah, I mean, I think the Ravens are back officially. I think that's where we're at right now.
They're back. They're back.
The Ravens are good again. Look, man, I'll start here. I think with the Vikings, that we kind of just hit on, man, the team's different now. And first off, Andrew Van Ginkel, I'm tired of this dude. I'm just sick of this dude. If you guys need to trade this guy away. I mean, that was the most ridiculous play. Just as a side note, this dude gets ran over and he grabs like Gibbs' foot as he's running the screen, tackles him. That was just dumb. That shouldn't have happened. Because of him alone, I think I want to take the Vikings in this one. But look, I think this kind of pulls it back. I think the Vikings are a pretty good team here. And I think that offensively, they have a lot of weapons. So when their offense finds right, they got a shot. I haven't completely bought into Baltimore to this point. It's going to be about, can they find consistency on the ground? Because against us, they did. They haven't consistently this year. I'm going to lean on. They ride that momentum. They find some consistency. Give me the Vikings to win this one.
Oh, all right. Playing nice in the division. I like it. All right, Nick, who wins this one? Vikings, Ravens, 1 p.m.
Who is going to be the bigger purple people eater? That's the big question here. I'm going to go with the Vikings. Even though one bar, he hasn't been very nice to me the last couple of weeks. He's feeling the heat at the bottom. He's looking at me and going, wow, look at that big guy up top. He's a big guy. No, I got the Vikings winning the Ravens. I want to see the NFC North take down the Ravens. I am still upset about that loss a couple of weeks ago, but J.J. McCarthy being back, they got some momentum. I got the Vikings in this one, 24-17.
All right, Bass, you kind of, maybe I read this wrong, but I felt like you kind of gave a surprise look like, wow, these guys are picking the Vikings to win. Are you picking the Vikings as well, or are you going with the Ravens?
I just didn't think I'd be the first person to say I'm going the Ravens. Like, if I'm third here, like I expected one of you two to say Ravens. And I'm like, all right, yeah, I agree with that. No, it's nothing against the Vikings. I just think the Ravens are back, and their team that's 3-5 and still has a chance to win their division. And I think they will. I think this is a great football team. Now it's in Minnesota, and that's very different. Like Baltimore plays lights out in Baltimore. So I think it's going to be a closer game than a lot of people may think. I'm sure a lot of money is on Baltimore, but again, Minnesota is an interesting team, and they have a very, very good defense. But here's the difference. Like last week, they stopped the Detroit run game. Will they be able to do that with the Ravens? But they also pressured the hell out of Jared Goff. He's a statue back there. I'm sorry, Dion, but he is. He doesn't move. He just stands there. He's got his mic muted. It's all good.
Statues represent great things, Bass.
They do. I'm not saying he's not great. I'm just saying he
Dion, that was perfect.
and he's got small hands. He fumbles the ball a lot. Lamar Jackson, on the other hand,
he's a statue. He's got big hands on that statue, though.
No. They made the statue with very small hands. Okay. But Lamar, I think the Vikings will send pressure, and Lamar, over this year, their O-line has been shaky, and he's gotten pressured a lot. But I think just overall, I think I like the Baltimore Ravens better. And I know their defense is shaky as well. I just think they're back in force. I think still it's going to be a one-score game. So I got Baltimore 28-20.
Ooh, all right. One bar. Last week you picked against your Vikings. It played out for you. This might be something you might want to do weekly. I don't know. You tell me, but who you picking, the Vikings or the Ravens? And what's the score, man? How does this one go down?
No, I mean, Baz, you were pretty much on the same page of what I'm thinking for the Vikings and the Ravens. I mean, it is a completely different ball game. I mean, we do have to shut down the run game, and that's a heavy task. And really, I think the Ravens win that division as well. Everybody writing them off a couple weeks ago, and now they got Lamar Jackson back coming off of that 4-touchdown performance. Granted, it was against the Dolphins, but I mean, it's easy. It comes down to Lamar and Derrick Henry. Can they shut them down? Like, if I'm the Ravens, I'm running the ball damn near every single time. I think if the Lions last week would have ran the ball with Montgomery twice as much, they would have walked away with that dub. The Vikings have not been good against the run. They've had some spurts, and they've had some surprises where they held the Lions last week to 65 yards. I don't think that happens this week. I think this is going to be a very, very, very tough game. I think the Ravens and the Vikings right now are in the kind of the same situation. They finally both got healthy. They're kind of in a spot right now where week in and week out, it's almost a must win. So every week's kind of a playoff for these guys, and this is going to be a tough-ass matchup. I don't think they can bring the house with Blake Cashman and Eric Wilson this week. It's not going to work because Lamar Jackson is going to scoot right around him and go for about 20 yards. So Blake Cashman's going to have to spy on Lamar Jackson all the time. We're going to have to rely on a secondary that hasn't been overly fantastic. We know the Ravens have weapons, but on the other side of it, the Ravens defense can be had. We can get after those guys. They're giving up a lot of yards in the air. I think what I said earlier was J.J. McCarthy. Maybe this is the week you take one training wheel off. Maybe let him sling it a little bit more. Maybe let him try to make those big plays and go after that secondary a little bit. And then hopefully Aaron Jones. Aaron Jones is going to be key. The guy's got to be healthy. He's got to be active. He's just such a great Batman or Robin, whatever one you want to pick, to that Jordan Mason. Watching him last week where he was finally healthy. I mean, I know he's 30, 31, whatever he is. He was a big part of why we beat this Lions team. So it's going to be a toss-up. The Vikings have a very tough schedule ahead of them. And if they beat the Ravens at home this week, I think that's where you can start to say, like, all right, the Vikings are going to be a team to deal with. Because, I mean, coming up, we got the Bears, we got the Packers. I mean, it is a very tough schedule coming up, and this is a must-win for the Vikings. I think they can get the win. Luckily for the Ravens, they're not getting after the quarterback very much. I think they've only sacked opposing quarterback 11 times or so. So J.J. McCarthy should have some time, especially with that healthy offensive line in front of him. And Lamar, he does get put in the ground a bit. I think they're averaging 3 sacks a game with those guys. So Brian Flores, he's got to come back. He's got to do it again, but I am picking the Vikings. I think it will be close. I think I got the Vikings 27-23. I just hope they give up on Derrick Henry. I hope they give up on the run very, very early. Lamar very well could beat the Vikings with his arm, but I'll take that over Henry.
Well, defensively, you might want to dust off that Detroit Lions playbook, man, because they got after Lamar in that game. That was absolutely
7
insane.
sacks.
So that's the one that you want to watch. Whatever they did, you want to see if you can possibly duplicate that one. That was a phenomenal performance by that defense in Detroit. So we'll see if the Vikings can emulate that. All right, let's keep it in the 1 p.m. time slot. We got Bears versus Giants. One bar, I'm going to stick with you on this one. Tell me who wins. Bears, Giants, 1 p.m.
I got to be honest, Nick, until you said that, I can't believe Joe Flacco set his record of yardage against the Bears. Yep. I mean, the guy's like 90 years old. And I'm giving you a rip there, but this is the perfect game for the Bears to come back to. They're going against the Giants that are completely, injury riddled. Like, this is the game that you want to come back and get a dub on. And the Bears, if I'm the Chicago, I'm running the piss out of that thing all game. If Caleb Williams throws it more than whatever, run the ball, you're going to win the game. Like, the Bears should walk away with this easily. Giants are so just decimated as far as what their team is right now. I got the Bears 23-13.
All right, Dose, how do you see this one?
Yeah, I'm opposite. I think Giants are going to win this one, man. And it's not because the Giants are a great team. They look messy right now, very messy. But I still think on the defensive front, they have enough there where it could give problems to Chicago. I think Chicago's been able to lean on that, and I think that's the area where Giants give themselves a chance in this game. Now, did they match up well in the secondary? No. So I expect that the Bears are going to score a bit in this one. They should score in the 20s at least in this game. But, man, the Giants have given me some good energy, man. I mean, they found a way to run the ball a little bit. Jackson Dart will give you a few big plays. I have no idea who in the world's playing receiver for them at this point. I don't even know who any of these dudes are. But it just takes a couple. And I love me some Brian Dable. I think this could be a fantastic game. I'm going to take the Giants 23-20.
Ooh, nice. Okay, I didn't expect that. Bass, who do you have winning this one?
Going Bears. Offense is flowing, right? Great game from Caleb this past week. Colson Loveland has arrived. I just picked him up in fantasy, so I want that to happen yet again. I had Tucker Kraft, so it's like a double whammy. It just all sucks all the way around. But the thing is about the Giants, they allowed the second most rushing yards per game at 150. We just saw what Kyle Monangai did. I don't know if Swift is going to be playing, but I don't care if he is or not. Like, I'd run with the hot hand with Monangai and just keep that thing going. I expect more Chicago success here. I feel like the Giants lack anything of a run game. Obviously they lost Scatterbo. I just don't know what they're going to get going. Obviously Dart's been impressive, but I think overall the Giants or the Bears are really, really hot right now. So I got a 2-score win for the Bears, 31-21.
All right, Bears Giants, 1 p.m. Nick, we got Dose picking against your Bears, the other two picking for your Bears. Talk to me.
No, fair points raised. The Bears have won 5 out of the last 6. They did lose to the Ravens, but the Ravens now are starting to become the Ravens again. But it's going to be 41 degrees and rainy in Chicago on Sunday. You do get Luther Burden back, it looks like, this week. Kyle Monangai was limited, but, better than out. DeAndre Swift's heading in the right direction as well. And this Bears defensive line is starting to heat up. I don't know what's going on over in New York. They are definitely not the team that they once were with Cam Scatterbo, but this Bears defense needs to gain some confidence. This is a perfect game for it. Along with that, too, if Swift and Monangai both play, they're going against the 31st rush defense in the NFL. They went against the 32nd last week in Cincinnati. So Bears are probably going to be running all over the place. They did last time against the Saints at Soldier Field. And with how the offensive line is playing, with how the running back room is playing, and how Caleb's been playing, I have a good feeling about this Sunday against New York. They're not in a position right now to win. They have no direction right now. They have some fun players, but they're not going anywhere. And I got the Bears winning this one as well. But I got it 31-17 Bears.
Yeah, the Giants had a rough go, man. They were in the driver's seat. They had just beaten the Eagles. They were about ready to blow out seemingly the Broncos, and the Broncos came back with that historic fourth quarter. And then the very next week, they lose once again. They lose Cam Scattaboo and then lose to the 49ers. And it's all falling apart for the New York Giants. I think this is, if the Bears are who you think they are, this is a game that they definitely have to win. Well, speaking of games that you have to win, a very, very different Commanders team is rolling into this game on Sunday at 4:25 p.m. Eastern against the Detroit Lions. Nick, we'll stick with you. Who do you have win this one? Lions at Commanders, 4:25 p.m. Eastern.
Bears broke the Commanders like the Commanders broke the Bears last year. They are not looking good. They look unconfident. No Jaden Daniels, just injury after injury. They lost, I believe, Lattimore as well to an ACL injury. So Commanders got no direction. Season's in the bag for them. I got Detroit absolutely crumbling them. I got 42-10.
Ooh, Bass. Give me your score prediction on this one. Lions at Commanders.
It's a fair prediction there because the last time the Lions suffered a big loss, week 1, Dion, if you remember that one. The next week, they put on 52 points to the Bears, Nick, if you remember that one. So it seems like after they lose, I just had to get both of you real quick, but I'm picking the Lions. Don't worry, I'm not going to follow.
And then F the Vikings. Remember that? You remember that?
But I feel bad for the Commanders. You know, I had high hopes for them this year. It just seems like nothing's gotten going, and then injuries. Jaden, that video of his elbow is disgusting. Losing Lattimore, like Nick said, they're just a mess right now. I got Detroit 38-20.
Wow. All right. One bar. How do you see this one going down?
Man, everybody said it already. I mean, the Commanders are an absolute mess. The Lions are going to come out extra pissed off as well. It's funny. I was laughing when Nick gave his prediction of just a smoke show, but yeah, I got like 44-6. I think the Lions are going to, I think it's going to be tough to watch. You're turning the channel after the first quarter. There's nothing to watch here. Lions are going to kill them.
Wow.
Kill them.
When the Commanders shock the world because they're coming from DC, that's where I live. It's a beautiful place. At least I made it beautiful. They're going to walk to Detroit and give them a nice spanking on the bottom. Wow. Just kidding. Those pussycats, those Lions are going to be very dangerous, very dangerous.
Dose, I don't know if you should feel good about this. Everybody picking a blowout here. I feel like this might be your reverse jinx incoming. Dose, talk to me about this game. How do you see it going down?
Yeah, I don't love it, man. I feel like, look, man, this has been like a little thing here. Last week, I feel like it was very confident. Then what one bar was saying, my chat was like that pregame too. It's scary. I don't like it, man, because Washington beat us last year. So I look at it as like, this is your revenge spot. You know what I mean? Like you got to get back at these dudes. Washington knocked us out last season. Now, look, I didn't think Washington was going to be good this year, but as everybody else put in here, and I was a hater for that because we lost to him, but I didn't think it was going to last. But that said, the injuries stink, and Jaden Daniels going down stinks. Lattimore. Now they still have some dudes back there, especially in the secondary. It's just right now I don't think they're playing at the level you'd expect. Like Trey Amos has felt very inconsistent. I don't think Mike Sanders still look the same. Defense. I mean, they got Eddie Goldman playing nose tackle. I didn't know that dude was still in the league. He's got like 83 years old. So it's just been a mess right now with what they have healthy. And offensively, they just look very basic within their passing attack. But I think Mariota's going to settle things in for him. I think he's going to be fine. I think they'll be able to score with him offensively. I think they can do a lot of things out of the pocket, which makes it a little bit difficult where things can get off script a bit here. And it's just going to be about stopping that run game. It's such a diverse rush attack, and we were ugly last week trying to stop the run. So getting back to that will be where it starts for me in this one to allow what everybody here is saying to be the case. So I am confident, though. I think rest of now, I like 31-20 Lions winning. Not as much as y'all do. You know, I can't do that. I don't even think that's right. I don't think after what we just did, I can predict us to win by something more than that. I think I got to be, a little bit calm. I'm going to go 31-20 Lions.
All right. Well, everybody's picking Detroit. As I've said before, if you like primetime football, the NFC North has got you covered because Monday Night Football, Packers versus the Eagles. could be for the number 1 seed when it's all said and done. We'll see how it plays out here. But we got a big one on the slate. Nick, gonna ask you who wins this one, Packers or Eagles? Give me your score prediction.
Bass, where is it?
Where's what?
Where's the game?
Oh, it's in Lambeau, like always.
God darn it. No, it is not. Okay, now I'm ticked off. They always play at home. Bears played their last 4 or 5 games on the freaking road. The NFL stinks. Anyway, Roger Goodell stinks. I'm going to go, even though Baz was very nice to me, I'll be nice too. The Green Bay Packers, they got to come back against that Panthers. What an embarrassment to those pussycats over in Carolina. Wow, what a bunch of losers. No, but Green Bay, I think the thing is about Philadelphia, first of all, it's at Lambeau, so it's automatically going to be in Green Bay's favor. Second of all, the Philadelphia Eagles, they're so inconsistent, man. I know they just got a new edge, but I'm not feeling confident about them like people usually are. So I got Green Bay winning this one, but it's going to be close. I got 24-21 on a Green Bay field goal from 50 plus.
Oh,
put that on sleeper.
Who?
Oh, put that on sleeper, he says. Wow, 1 bar. Are you going with the Green Bay Packers like Nick is, or are you going to pick the Eagles in this one, Monday Night Football?
Yeah, Nick, don't be too confident about Lambeau. I mean, they just lost there to the Panthers. So, I mean, but
they always play there.
You got to throw that out there. Here's the thing, Baz, you said it earlier. The Packers are so effing weird. They lose the crappy teams and they beat the really good teams. And they're playing a very good team this week. So it's like, all right, you should probably pick the Eagles because they're really good. The Eagles made some moves at the deadline. I don't like the matchup, obviously, with the Eagles receivers going against the Packers secondary. Darnold, I mean, he just ripped them a new one last week. It's a very hard game to pick. But I think Philly does come on at top. I think there'll be some points scored. I got 28-24 Eagles. And Dos, you're right. I can't believe Eddie Goldman still plays, by the way. That's like my biggest takeaway. I can't believe he's still in the league. But I got Eagles, but I would not be surprised either way.
All right, Dos, how do you have this one going down? We're split. You might be the tiebreaker, at least between the other 3. I think I know where Bass is going. Who you have in this one?
Yeah, this should be fun, man. I did last time we had this to open up the season. It was some fireworks too. So I think that's what's going to happen. I think we're going to get a lot of points. I think the point that 1 bar is great is like the receivers for Philadelphia should go to work a bit. It's just that's been the question all year is consistency within their passing attack. I think they started to find it. So I expect them to throw the ball around a little bit. I expect Green Bay to do the exact same thing. I know they've been bouncing around Cooper DeJean, but I always think with Green Bay, it doesn't really matter because they can make everybody a threat from everywhere on the field, it feels like. I mean, maybe they got to push the ball downfield a little bit more, as Bass is saying, but because I think Philadelphia will tackle, unlike Pittsburgh, for example. But I think they're going to get a lot of points in this one. So I'm going to go 30-24. I think Green Bay gets back on track. I hate it, but I think they do.
All right, there we go, Bass. We got 2 picking the Packers, 1 picking the Eagles. Monday Night Football. How do you see this one going down?
So I'm going to be arriving in Hawaii the moment this thing kicks off. It'll be like a 2 p.m. Monday Night Football game. So that'll be interesting to kind of see that vibe there. But as a PA native, obviously I'm going to pick my Green Bay Packers. And it is a tale of 2 teams. Like 1 bar said, it's like, which one are you going to get? Are you going to get the Cleveland Browns, Carolina Panthers game? Or are you going to get the Steelers game? And it wouldn't surprise me if the Packers went out here and won by, say, like 10 points or so. And why I think this could happen is I think LaFleur has to adapt a little bit. I think he kind of got stuck in his traditional offensive scheme these past few weeks or in the games that he did lose. We're now without Tucker Kraft. We're going to see more 11 personnel. We're going to see more maybe 6 offensive linemen, which we've seen in years past. He's done that. And I think Anthony Belton is perfect for that. And yes, Rico Dowdle went off against our defense, but I feel like this is a game where weirdly the week before Dowdle goes off, or this week we could hold Barkley to like 47 yards running. The Packers are still a top 5 run defense. They had a horrible game last week. Overall, they just had a horrible game. And I do expect them to bounce back. The Eagles are bottom half in passing offense, running offense, passing defense, and running defense. Right? They had a weird start to the season. They're kind of bringing it back around, but I think the Packers can find success against that defense that now has Jair Alexander, who's returning to Lambeau, which is interesting if he plays, which doubt it. And I think we're going to get home on Jalen Hurts. I think this defense is going to be playing angry. I think we had a really bad game from our front seven last week, barely any pressure, only 1 sack, and that sack was by a defensive back. So I think this defense is going to find success. It's prime time in Lambeau. They really need this win. Yes, they're still at the top of the NFC North, but it is wide open right now. I think we can all agree it is absolutely wide open. And this is going to be a huge win, like you said, Jesse, if they can win, to potentially secure, seeding possibilities later down the line. So I have the Packers. It's going to be a close one, but I have the Packers 27-21.
Mr. Inglewood brings up a great point, except for he's wrong. It's no longer his girlfriend. It's his wife.
There you go.
So there is that. But it is a revenge game for him and his now wife. So there it is. Bass has the Packers winning in a big, big Monday Night Football game. Well, that's going to do it for us tonight. Make sure you tell your friends and family all about the NFC North Roundtable. Let's get this thing cracking. We got the best content creators in the game. We got Dose, Bass, One Bar, and Nick. We will be back at it next week, reviewing Week 10 and previewing Week 11. Same time, same place, Wednesday, 6 p.m. Eastern. We'll see you then. Have a great night. Much love. Peace.